người con mà ambassador.
Oh, would you mind giving your name positive?
PIC. Oh.
I'm Kiko. Would you mind giving me your name? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Nice to meet you. Yes.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the guests. 写真撮る方、前の方。大丈夫です。
Okay.
ちょっと時間ないので、急ぎでお願いいたします。
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club of Japan. I am Abdul Nazari, former president of this club and also board member, and I have the honor to welcome our guest speaker, His Excellency Mr. Surangel S. He is the president of Palau, and he was elected 1921, first time, and he's now on an official visit to Japan. And he's also on his second speech at the visit to our press club. Thank you very much for coming here again, Mr. President. And the word Pacific Island evokes an image of sandy beaches and trees outlined against azure and nature, blue skies. And any island paradise is like that, floating in the Pacific Ocean. And this describes exactly Palau, very beautiful island, and it's such a beautiful island in the Pacific. It has 466 square kilometers, covering 340 islands, and with a population of under 20,000 people. And until recently, as other nations, the Republic of Palau has faced environmental challenges. And some countries such as China and Korea also expressed concern over dumping of treated water from Fukushima reactors. These issues were discussed in the Mr. President meeting today with the Prime Minister Kishida, and he will tell us more about that. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Palau President Mr. Webs. Now, thank you very much.
Well, Ali, good afternoon. And I want to thank our moderator, Mr. Aziri, for, first of all, being able to come and join you this afternoon and share a little bit about Palau. You know, we're a small island, 20,000 people, small nation, but we also refer to ourselves as a big ocean state because we like to say that our ocean is the size of France, or when we talk to the US, the size of Texas. And the ocean, of course, is what connects us. It connects us to Japan, and I think we all know that a healthy ocean means a healthy planet. First of all, this is my third summit in Japan with our Prime Minister Kishida, and the third visit to right before Palm, which is when all the Pacific Island leaders are coming next month, to further strengthen our relationship and continue to see how we can work together as Pacific Islands sharing this ocean. As you know, last year I had the opportunity of coming and visiting Fukushima and going to the nuclear power plant. If I may say one thing about what I observed then, and I know it holds true, is that I was impressed by the number of engineers and scientists that were working there. Also, the extraordinary efforts that TEPCO and, of course, the government of Japan have been taking to ensure the safety of the people in the surrounding area, but most importantly, in the treatment of the water, Alps-treated water, to ensure that what is released into the ocean is not harmful to the environment that it's going into. And that is so important for us that are big ocean states that, of course, depend on this for our livelihoods, for our sustenance, and of course, for the planet as a whole. Palau is well known around the world as a beacon of protectors of the ocean. Palau began in many years ago through modern laws to preserving or protecting its environment. But this is not something that we just began in modern days. It's a practice that we've always done. In Palau we call it the bull. And bull is really when the chiefs, the community get together and say, we need to stop this activity, we need to halt it for now, to allow the environment to rejuvenate. Or they would say this fishing area, you would stop fishing it and let it get strong again. So Palau has taken many initiatives, and one of them just a few years ago, and actually in 2015, we closed off 80% of our EEZ to fishing, and became the largest marine sanctuary in the world. And really the concept was let it rejuvenate, let it have the opportunity to grow, and we want our oceans to be healthy because not only for Palau, but for the planet. And when we got into office 3 years ago, one of the first things that we were observing was the challenges that we were facing economically. As you know, we have lost tourism. Tuna revenue had declined because now the foreign fishing fleets have left. And there was a question, should we reopen? And what we were able to do was say, no, let's continue the pause, but let's use data and science to guide us in our decision on opening and how do we open and how do we optimize the use of those resources. So one of the things that we've announced back home is after those studies have been done, to have a sustainable fishing industry, we need to open at least 50% to fishing. So one of the things that Palau and Japan share is fisheries. And I think one of the opportunities that we have is develop that fisheries together in a way that provides value to the local people, the local community, but also provides fish to the Japanese people. And this is all in line with diversifying our economy, building back better after COVID. And one of the things that we've been challenged with also is the lack of tourists coming to Palau. We are this year at about 60% of pre-COVID levels. So we're still recovering. One of the reasons that we're here is we want to encourage Japanese visitors to return to Palau. I know it's a challenge because we use US dollars and the Japanese yen and the US dollar right now, there's a little bit of a discrepancy there. But what is the price of paradise? It's priceless. So I want to say that it shouldn't matter what the yen is. Please come. You're we would like to see you in Palau. But you know, what we also want to see is direct flights. Direct flights from Japan directly to Palau. In the olden days, we had Delta. Delta used to fly those routes. Unfortunately, their 757s were pulled out of Japan, so that route doesn't exist anymore. But you know, we're talking to Japan Airlines, we're asking United, we're asking other air carriers, Air Niugini, Air Nauru, anybody that wants to fill that gap. Please come. Let's bring Japanese visitors back to Palau and be able to, you know, enjoy not only our oceans and diving and snorkeling, but also the rich and deep culture that we have. You know, we have at least 3,000 years of history. There's some terraces that they say existed at 1500 BC. And those terraces have unlocked secrets to our past, but they're saying they're our version of the pyramids. But Palau, of course, is well known because the southern islands, or we call the Southern Lagoon, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Not only because of the beauty, but more importantly because of the cultural heritage and the people and the petroglyphs that you find and the different historical sites that you find in the island. So, if anything, we're here to rejuvenate the tourism industry and also work with Japan on fishing, but also address our other common challenges like climate change and other things. And of course our security interest in of course maintaining a free and open Indo-Pacific and peace in our region, because if you want to have prosperity, you have to have peace. And it starts with deterrence. And it's about working together, because we truly believe that we are stronger together, especially with our friends and our partners from Japan, who we consider family. I don't know if you know, but 20% of our population has Japanese ancestry, and over 1,000 words in our Palauan dictionary are Japanese words, like tobetsu, which is, of course, special. Right? With that, you know, really thank you for the opportunity of being here, and you know, I'm here at your disposal. I believe that the press is the fourth branch of government, and it's your responsibility to hold us accountable. So I'd rather open the floor for questions and answers, and so if we can have a Q&A session, open up to everyone.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your presentation. We'd like to open the floor to question and answer. We start with Richard.
Hello, Richard Lloyd Parry at The Times. Palau has recently reported quite a significant cyber attack, which involved the loss of some 20,000 documents, and which you have squarely blamed on China. Could you tell us your reaction to that? What would you say to the government of China about what they did? And why is this something so important? Why is this something that the rest of the world should be concerned about?
Well, first of all, thank you for the question. We are receiving, of course, we're in a world where we're not only threatened by climate change or security issues, now it's cybersecurity. And this is really the first major attack that we've seen on government records. It was into our Ministry of Finance. And our experts who went and analyzed the data could track that the source came from somewhere in Malaysia with traces back to China. And I think if our message is anything, it's we need to alert the world that what is being done is not acceptable. We should not be, targeting innocent people, because at the end of the day, the records that were being released is about personal information of people, and being hacked and being threatened that they would be released is so unfortunate. And it so happened that it happened one day before Palau and the United States exchanged notes, diplomatic notes on what we call the Compact of Free Association with the United States. So it's kind of coincidentally that it happened on that day. I guess to further demonstrate, I guess, that we do have vulnerabilities. And part of the compact with the United States is that the United States helps us in our security and defense. So the U.S. is really has stepped up its efforts to try to help us with cybersecurity, because now it is definitely a threat and something that we need to be aware of. Even though we're small and maybe not off the radar, we are susceptible. And we have to be diligent, engage our partners. We're grateful to the United States. Also, offers have come from Taiwan and Japan to also help us, help our people understand better and be able to really combat these types of attacks so it doesn't happen in the future.
Yes.
Hello, it's my honor to meeting you. My name is Mina from Nikkei. So I have two questions for you. The first question is, considering that Palau is strengthening the partnerships with the U.S. in security, I would like to confirm about the plans of letting U.S. place a radar system in 2026. Is there any change in the plan? And also, what are your thoughts on the concern that allowing the deployment of the radar system will make Palau more vulnerable to attack by China in an emergency? And furthermore, I think Palau have requested the deployment of Patriots to the U.S. Has the request been approved? And if deployment is possible, when will it be introduced? This is my first question.
Okay.
And, do I have to?
Okay.
So first of all, thank you for that question. And the radar sites were requested several years ago, but actually, as of today, construction has begun. So we hope that they will be completed by 2026. Yes, of course, whenever there's military installations, there is that increased risk, right? That if there is a conflict, we would be susceptible. But we like to look at it also in another light. Really, the U.S. security interests align with Palau security interests to ensure that we maintain peace and stability in the region. And what's more important is that we focus on deterrence. Because if we are prepared, then we can deter. And I think what's even more important, and was highlighted was there was officials in Palau, some of the senators, had asked if we're going to test missiles in Palau, which they did several years ago, Patriots shooting down drones, then maybe not just testing them and see how fast you can mobilize them, they should be located on island. Interestingly, there was also some senators that said, no, we shouldn't have them on island because it's presenting a security risk. I think at the end of the day, the interest that Palau had was we want to make sure that we're not vulnerable and we're protected. The U.S., of course, has not said they're going to install them because they don't see that the security risk is there. But the U.S. has told us that whatever, if they evaluate that there's risk, they will make sure that they will defend Palau. And I think that's the important message that we have. But they are, for example, upgrading ports, airports, and other facilities to ensure that there is deterrence.
I will get back to you for the second question. Richard, please. Just a minute. We have any questions, so get back to you.
Thank you.
Please.
My name is Takuya Nishimura, freelance journalist. Thank you very much for today. I believe one of the major concerns for Pacific Island nation is the climate change, as you noticed. And Japan is well known as a big emitter of greenhouse gases. And Japan has a plan to carbon neutral by 2050. So, are you satisfied with this plan Japan has attitude toward climate change? And do you have any recommendation or request to Japanese policy? Thank you.
Well, first of all, climate change is the #1 threat to small islands. And we need everybody to participate in combating this problem. So, we are taking action at home, whether it's closing off areas, protecting reefs, mangroves, and doing all our part. And what we're asking is that large nations also do their part. And that's everything from driving electric cars, using less carbon emitting power. And one of the things that I learned when I came to Japan last year, which I didn't know, is that all of your nuclear power plants have been shut down. And when I went to Fukushima, I saw piles of coal on the dock. So one of the things that I encourage Japan is, you've done a fantastic job at addressing Fukushima and getting through this. I think it's to build confidence in the Japanese people so that you can reopen those plants. Because reopening those plants reduces your carbon emission now, which is important for us islands that are sinking. So it's really a partnership. And it's about taking responsibility and doing everything we can, whether it's opening those nuclear power plants to produce power again, so you stop using coal, or whether it's eating less meat and being more vegetarian. These are all activities that we can all do to help reduce our carbon footprint. And we continue to encourage the largest nations to take the lead, because we contribute the least and suffer the most. And we need to raise ambition. So, thank you.
Christian, I will get back to you later. Just you, and then you. And then Suzuki-san, and then you.
Mr. President, thank you very much. Hiroshi Hiyama from AFP. Just going back to the cybersecurity item, would you, to the extent it's possible, would you tell us the details of what happened as far as that attack goes? Can you tell us what happened? Can you tell us when it happened? And then obviously 20,000 documents were stolen. What kind of documents were they? And it turned out in April in dark web. Is that true? That it was posted online? Mm-hmm. And is it the group called Dragon Force? Do you think that is behind it? And then what makes you think, or do you think that the Chinese state, the government, is behind it? And then what makes you think that? And do you have any evidence that you may be able to share? Thank you very much.
So, as I stated before, it happened on March 14th, which was one day before we exchanged notes with the United States on the compact. But what we have learned is that it's of course ransomware that was probably developed in Russia. It was sent out of Malaysia, and it looks like it has ties back to China. The reason we say maybe there's government involvement, because they weren't interested in money. They really didn't demand any money. And that's why it's very interesting. It's more harassment than anything else. And so the conclusion we get is maybe there's other motives in this. The documents are wide-ranging, but of course they involve personnel, records, because it's Ministry of Finance, of course, financial documents and others. But we have an Open Government Act in Palau, so I mean technically everything is open to the public. So I guess the only thing is, when you have people's personal information, that is a problem, and it's sad to see that they would do this and then just basically harass people, which is so unfortunate.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Kondo from Kodansha Publishing Company. My question is on the contrary. What kind of temptation are you receiving from China? Thank you.
Well, that's a very good question. I may have shared last year that in 2016 there was almost 100,000 tourists from China that were coming to Palau. When I was elected, one of the things that I was told by the ambassador of China that was in Pohnpei was that the opportunities with China, the sky is the limit. We can build all the hotels you need. We can give you 1 million tourists. You see what we did before, and now of course the tourism has declined because China blocks anything that has to do with Palau. In fact, just recently, which was very interesting, is the PATA Association, which is a worldwide association for tourists, right? For the Pacific Association of Travel Agents, had its annual meeting in Macau, and our Visitors Bureau was denied attendance at that event because we don't have diplomatic relations with China. So it was interesting that we were denied marketing not only to China but actually to the rest of the Asia, because this is an Asian organization, not just a Chinese organization. And so we not only see what the Chinese ambassador said is, if you don't change your illegal activities, obviously what they're doing now is weaponizing tourism, right? And making us suffer because of our stance. But one of the things that we've been working on is trying to diversify our tourism market. I want to just share that the government of Australia has now launched what we call the Palau Paradise Express. So just this month on the 21st of May, last month on the 21st of May, we had our first flight from Brisbane to Palau. Because what I want to do is bring tourists from every other country in the world to Palau and diversify our base so that we're not dependent. So I'm looking forward to direct flights from Japan to counter these activities. So just think of tourists from Japan as ambassadors to help strengthen relations and make us more economically resilient, so that we're not threatened and tourism isn't weaponized to have us change our stance. So, thank you.
Thank you. My name is Kantaro Suzuki. Thank you for coming here. This is such a tokubetsu opportunity for all of us. Thank you. So my question is, Ambassador of Ukraine to Japan uploaded a post on his X account. He met with President Whips. And would you kindly tell us specifically the reason why you visited him and what topic the two of you discussed? Thank you.
Well, first of all, we condemn the atrocities and what is happening in Ukraine. And we need to all stand by Ukraine. We need to promote peace, and there is an upcoming peace conference in Switzerland on the 15th and 16th of June. And of course the ambassador came to invite us to attend and to stand by Ukraine. I don't know if you know, but Palau was the first country in the world to have a nuclear-free constitution. And we are opposed to nuclear weapons and any use of nuclear weapons to be used as weapons for the destruction of people, but also attacking nuclear facilities that are used for power and other things. So really the opportunity for Palau to also stand with Ukraine against these kind of actions and condemn Russia and ask for peace. Yeah.
Thank you. Richard Lloyd Parry at The Times again. I wonder if I could press you for a few more details on the cyber attack. Specifically, you said that it looks like there are links to China. But can you tell us what those are? Because as I understand it, some independent cyber experts have said that evidence is lacking. Is it just an assumption based on the fact that no money was demanded? Or are there actually Chinese fingerprints, as it were, on the hacking traces? That's the first question. The second is about the effect it had in concrete terms. You talked about harassment and people being threatened. What form did those threats take specifically? And more broadly, apart from obviously the embarrassment of this, what negative concrete effects has it had on Palau?
Well, of course, the day it happened, it affected our payroll system, so we couldn't get out payment wired to people's accounts. So that was one of the challenges we had. Secondly, when you're releasing personal financial information of individuals, that's the harassment I'm talking about. I mean, why are we giving that information to the public? And that now puts those people at risk of maybe hacking into their accounts and doing other things because it was, personal information. The fingerprints that we talk about, I'm not a cyber expert. I have staff that are internet or are cyber people, and what they said is, from what we can tell, and if you trace it back, that's where it looks like the sourcing came from. So the assumption is if you're not asking for a ransom and the fingerprints go back to somewhere in China, then maybe the assumption is that there's government actors or somebody's involved. And obviously our stance on Taiwan is a sensitive one, and we would expect that this would be the case. I mean, why else would you attack the government? So.
Yes.
Good afternoon, Mr. President, and thank you for today. Can you please tell us what are the most pressing needs in Palau that partnership with Japan can help address?
Please address yourself, your name.
My name is Flor, Filipino-Japanese Journal. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. As I mentioned at the beginning, I think what's most important for small islands is to address climate change issues because it's our biggest threat. And so it's really partnering and reducing our carbon footprint. Japan is a leader in technology. We partnered on renewable energy projects. We're partnering on exploring hydrogen and just looking at how we can lessen our carbon footprint and leverage the technology that Japan has. I think the other thing that it's so important is building a resilient economy. And I think two areas that Japan is critical in is fishing and working together in the fishing industry on how we can value capture and create a fishing industry that really provides that economic growth that you need and builds resiliency. But at the same time, also develop a robust and diversified tourism industry. And the good news is that one of the first high-end hotels that was built in Palau over 40 years ago was by the Tokyo Group. And it's still, I think, the premier hotel in Palau. But the good news is that we had investments from China that were really, foreign direct investment was the highest for the last 10 years. But now I'm proud to say that the #1 investor is Japan in the private sector, because the Donkey Group is building a new hotel in Palau, which will be done next year. So that more reason it'll be an Indigo, right? Intercontinental Group, not a Donkey Hotel. But the group, Yasuda-san has invested in a hotel in Palau, which we're proud of. And there's more hotels that are being built, like the Four Seasons and others. And we encourage Japanese investment to come to Palau, and that we can partner, because we believe that building resiliency is good for the economy and provides stability. And I think it's a win-win. Win for the Japanese and win for Palau. So.
Thank you. If I may follow up on this issue, Mr. President, the tourism. How about the tourism in Palau? Now in Japan, if you go to Mount Fuji, it's so crowded. So the authorities there are reducing the number of tourists. Are we going to find such crowds in Palau and walk in lines in huge groups, or it's still the image of beautiful paradise?
No, we don't have long lines, and still paradise. So if it's too crowded at Mount Fuji, please come to Palau. And if you want to get away from the stress. But you know, that's, I think, one of the things that Palau has really been working toward is how to manage the number of tourists to ensure that when you come and visit, you got experiences there. We're at about 60% of where we were pre-COVID, but if you go back to when we had the influx of Chinese tourists, we're only at 30%. So, you know, just to give you an idea, we have a long ways to go. So it's still relatively.
Which is the best months to go? So.
Well, we like to say in Palau we have 2 seasons. We have rain or sunshine. But it's pretty much the same temperature all year round. So I say it's all the time is good time, but there is what they call rainy season and I guess a little more sunshine. And so from January through April is when the Japanese tourists usually like to come, because there's a little less rain. But you know, when it rains, it's not as hot, so you know you can balance it out. But when you're swimming, it doesn't really matter because it's still bathtub temperature in the water. And actually, when it's raining, you want to jump in the water, so because it's so nice and warm. So I say all the time it's a good time. So
very appealing. Thank you, sir. Please.
Good afternoon, Mr. President. Thank you for the opportunity and for sharing remarks and also a beautiful introduction to Palau. So my name is Tamayometo from Nikkei Asia, and I'd like to ask you 2 questions. So first one is about Palau's future relationship with Taiwan. Especially, do you have any expectations for a new administration by Taiwan? And even though the other Pacific Islands countries like now restore the relationship with China recently, do you plan to maintain the relationship with Taiwan? And this is my first question. And the second one is about your evaluation of the meeting with the Prime Minister Kishida yesterday. And do you have any expectations for Pacific Islands countries summits, upcoming summits in June? Sorry.
well, first of all, the question on Taiwan. Palau has been very fortunate to have had diplomatic relations with Taiwan since 1999. So this year we celebrate 25 years. I think over the past 25 years that relationship has only gotten stronger. Last month I was able to be at President Lai's inauguration. We believe in freedom and democracy. We share the same values. And I think more importantly, we want peace on the Taiwan Strait. And it's important for the 12 of us that are remaining to stand with Taiwan. We hope that that continues because I think every country and every citizen should have a voice. And that's why Palau has always been advocating that the 23 million people in Taiwan should participate in international organizations like the WHO, like the UN, because they don't have a voice and they need a voice. They've been operating as an independent country for almost 80 years. They have a valuable, they're a valuable partner and can be a valuable contributor to the world. And it's important for us to all support them and maintain the status quo. As to our meeting with Prime Minister Kishida, I think it was a fruitful meeting. It was really an opportunity to have a frank discussion and exchange over those pressing issues that Palau has, but also that we have in the Pacific, especially when it comes to climate change, discussions on fisheries, and other areas that we can hopefully jointly cooperate in to provide a prosperous and more resilient Pacific. It was encouraging to hear Prime Minister's commitment to the 2050 strategy. Japan is an important partner to all the Pacific Islands, and also an important partner in building the people-to-people relationships. One of I think the highlights of the relationship between Palau and Japan is the JICA volunteer programs. And there's one gentleman there that he came to help us with solid waste, and he's been there for 20 years. And really, I was telling the solid waste people in Palau that that's a new tourism site, because we have people from all over the Pacific coming to Palau and visiting our solid waste program and learning from it to try to adapt it in the Pacific. So that's just an example of partnership and working together with Japan and sharing that with the Pacific. And there's more projects that we hope that we can develop together, that we can demonstrate the value of that partnership and share with our brothers and sisters in the Pacific. So.
I have only 5 minutes to go. Please, if you ask very short question, one question, please.
I just wanted to follow up on this cybersecurity item. So you do have strong reason to believe, without going into technical details, you do have strong belief, a strong reason to believe that it is a Chinese government that's behind it, not just a random person who may or may not be using like a server in China, but it's a state actor is involved. And if so, have you told China about your belief? And do you think that your relation with Taiwan has anything to do with it? Or why do you think that China has attacked Palau location, and why then? Why that point? Thank you.
Well, this is not the first incident where China doesn't respect our boundaries. And I'll give you an example. We've had, since I've been president, 4 research vessels that have conducted activities within our waters without our permission. We've raised that to China. China says, oh, they're running away from a storm or whatever. But we have camera photos of gear in the water doing activities that are not sanctioned. So, just for us to have traces to get the footprints that go back there, our assumption, we don't can't tie a direct link, but it would be clear to assume that state actors would be involved, because why else would you do it? If you were just going to release the information and basically show how vulnerable we are and show our weaknesses. But I guess it's a wake-up call for us, wake-up call for our partners to help us to secure not only our borders, which they've shown that our weakness of our borders by coming in not only with research vessels, but IUU also. We caught the IUU. But the research vessels came and then exited. But same thing now with cyber. We need to also strengthen those. And we know our location, we know our relationships, and of course, I think China wants to weaken those relationships, show our vulnerability, and what a great way to do it by hacking our system and showing us that we're weak. Yeah.
Can you have second question? You still have it? It's okay. Yes? You have second question? No, it's okay. All right. Richard, go ahead.
Last year you told us about the incursion of one of the Chinese research vessels, which I think at the time you suspected of carrying out surveys on undersea cables, information cables. Have there been more then since that time? And if so, can you give us the detail on that?
So since that one that I reported, another one has come. And what's interesting is that not only is there incursions on those other undersea cables, we've also noted that on our extended continental shelf that really connects Palau and Japan, their survey activities now, they have pinpointed ridges and put it that we didn't identify, so they now identify and put Chinese names on them. So this is just, you know, part of the activities that go on within our EEZ and our extended continental shelf. And I would say that would be threatening to our sovereignty and to our EEZ and to our extended continental shelf claims. So.
Thank you. Thanks. I think we covered all issues. I would like to recognize we have here two ministers from Palau. We are honored to have them. Mr. Gustav Aitaro is Minister of State for Agriculture.
Oh no, he's the Minister of State, or like most
Sorry.
countries, Minister of Foreign
Yes.
Affairs.
Okay, for Foreign Affairs. And Mr. Stephen Victor is Minister of Culture. So thank you for
No, he's Minister of Agriculture,
Agriculture. Okay.
Fisheries, and the Environment.
All right. Sorry
Yeah.
to.
So I think three topics that we also like to talk with the Japanese government about improving. But Japan has been a fantastic partner in those areas in trying to improve fisheries, but also agriculture. And we're grateful.
So it's a good big delegation. All right. I would like, Mr. President, to offer you another 1 year honorary membership. I think your last year membership is expired, so we give you another one. And we are looking forward to seeing you again next year.
Next year.
Thank
Okay,
you
it's going to
again
be
very
an
much.
annual event, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for coming and have a nice evening. Please wait until Mr. President leaves.